Everybody, welcome to the show that is not a show. Not a cigar show that's not a cigar show. My guest, and by the way, if you're just tuning in and you are watching this, then you're probably dealing with the two people whose names get mispronounced more than anybody else in the industry. I'm thinking, at least with my name, if they see my name in print, they're going to totally I'll take a stab at it. Your name, they're looking at it, and going, "Fuck, I'm out." So I'm going to try this. So I'm going. Please welcome Mike Stepankiewicz. Oh, God. Stepankiewicz. Stepankiewicz? Am I close?
Szczepankiewicz, yeah.
Oh, gosh, dang. So last night, I'm like, okay, this isn't a real show. We're just BSing. And I'm like, how do you pronounce his last name? Which is what I do every time I'm going to see you. But I normally don't have to. I say, hey, how's it going, Mike? And so now I'm doing a show, and like, if there's one rule to doing a show, and you do a show, and we're going to talk about this in a second because you do a real show. I'm just sitting there bullshitting.
Oh, that's
Don't
so
don't
sweet of you to say.
don't f up the guest's name. Like
Really?
literally that's probably like rule number one is don't screw up their name. And here we are. So tell everybody how to pronounce your name so they don't do what I just did.
Well, Mr. Rouet, thank you very much for having me. It's Szczepankiewicz. You're doing fine. It doesn't.
I was close. I was overthinking it. I literally have it how I thought it was phonetically up on my notes right here, and
Yeah,
still messed it up.
yeah. You
So
overcommitted is what the
I
problem.
did.
You overthought it for sure.
Yeah, I should have, like, if I'm drinking or something, it probably just rolls right off the tongue or something like that.
Yeah, of course. A couple beers in, I'm like, Szczepankiewicz. You just start speaking Polish. It's just,
There we go.
yeah.
Bullish,
Polish.
bullish. Was that
Polish.
was okay? Give me a number between 1 and 4.
Two.
I was hoping you'd say that one.
Excellent. Bam. Oh, catastrophic.
Catastrophic failure. Excellent cigar, by the way. So, hey, I got a few questions and we can just BS, but I just kind of want to, take time to everybody to kind of get to know you. Some of it's going to be cigar questions, some of it's going to not. So let's talk about the brand name. Luckily, I can say Powstanie.
Yes.
So luckily I got that one going for me. It translates to like uprising.
Uh-huh.
So without going into the background of that, I mean, we'll talk a little bit about, the names and stuff like that, but uprising. So let me ask you this. If you were to lead a modern day cigar rebellion,
Yeah.
what would be your manifesto? Who are you recruiting for this? Modern
Um,
day cigar rebellion.
what do you mean is like rebellion? Are we like aggressively taking over things? Are we using force, like ammo, guns and stuff? Or are we
No,
like,
no. Let's keep it a little bit, a little bit. No, just like so, like we all have different hot buttons in the industry. Like, I can pick different things that either in media, or I can pick things like, dude, do not like borrow my cutter and lick your cigar and go to cut your cigar. I mean, so like, what is your like, okay, this needs to stop in the industry right now. Either people need to be educated, not educated. People need to stop chasing that leads. I mean, everybody's got something like, and you're on both sides of it. You have a shop and you manufacture cigars.
yeah. I mean, I think that realistically, what needs to happen is everybody's been told for so long that they've been sitting in first class is really what I like to say. You're handed a cigar, you're told this story, and you believe that this is one of the all-time greats, and you don't know any better because somebody told you that, and now you believe them, right? Because this guy obviously knows more than I do. So you're really paying for that first class price, but you're sitting in coach, and more often than
Mhm.
not, that's the experience that I see. And when I hand somebody a cigar and I say, this is what first class tastes like, and they smoke it, they're like, oh my God,
Mhm.
what the hell have I been doing this whole time? Uh,
Right.
but more comically, sometimes that guy will go back to the other cigar if they can get a deal on it. Even
Right.
if
Right.
the taste is good and it kind of sucks or whatever. It's like, it's good enough, or. So you kind of, from like an industry standpoint, manufacturer, wholesale, even retailer, you're like, okay, so I don't need the best cigars. Sometimes I need value cigars. Sometimes I need bundle cigars. But I think that the biggest thing that needs to happen is education of consumers for sure,
Mhm.
that they can at least make that decision instead of having somebody else make that decision for them.
Right.
Mhm.
So do you think is what percentage of this industry do you think is marketing? Because we've seen great cigars fail and we've seen shitty cigars sell like hotcakes.
Mhm.
So to your point is like it's the guy that's got to have a certain cigar also that's like has to make sure everybody sees the band, he's in the lounge and making sure everybody sees what he's smoking or whatever like that. So what point of that is like just the guy that's that guy or I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
what is it marketing? What is it? He's got to be in this tribe, but he knows the cigar's better over here. He knows it's better, but he's like, I'm just going to stick to this because, this is what everybody sees me smoke.
I think it's more marketing than anybody realizes. I think it's probably 70%.
That's what I've always said. I've always said, assuming you have a good cigar, you have to have a good cigar. I mean, let's be honest.
It's not hard to have a good cigar or an okay cigar. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To really kind of push the envelope and make something phenomenal, that's where things get a little more complicated. And then I mean, I always say it all the time about Nick Melillo. I think he's one of the greatest blenders of our generation.
Mm-hmm.
He can make some great cigars. He's a terrible marketer. He did the ASMR thing or whatever the case may be or something. Palmer now has a broom and he's behind me, so he's trying to set up something where he said, "Don't ruin."
I wouldn't have noticed that. Now I can see him. Now, I knew Palmer with the broom that he wasn't actually cleaning anything, so I knew there had to be something. I mean, he's not actually helping out with anything. So, yeah.
He's mopping now. Yeah, so.
There we go. That's good. That makes it.
Yeah.
I feel like it's one of those fake Zoom calls that you just rented an old guy in the background. It's like, hey, choose me working in a shop with a cleaner in the background.
A little bit.
So, no, that makes sense. I think that there's a large amount of it that's marketing. I think that, like I said, we've seen good cigars and bad cigars, come down to the marketing. I agree that you've got to go. I think you've got to go out of your way to make a bad cigar right now, like a truly bad cigar. You have to cut corners or be working with somebody that is just screwing you on the tobacco that you're getting, short filling it, underage, underfermented, whatever it may be. But there are better cigars. You can't make those choices.
Yeah, well, the other kind of I think there's two things that happen. You guy.
Palmer, Mike, say hello to everybody, so at least they know who that mysterious guy is in the background. Can he hear you?
Yes.
Yeah, say hello. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the show in a second. Okay, so just blow your roll a little bit. Okay, this is about Mike, the other Mike, not you. God damn it! Why do you have the same name? Okay.
I think that there's two things that kind of happen here. Like one is a lot of people want to get into the cigar industry, and there are plenty of people that are happy to make them a cigar, right?
Right.
Take their money and normally make something that's okay or maybe a little bit subpar. They'll get away with some things. They'll tell you it's going to be one blend and then they make
right.
The other thing though is that a lot of people just make the same cigar over and over and over again.
Right.
Too many times this new cigar pops and like I mean, how many San Andreas cigars came out at PCA? Right. Probably, who knows, 30,
I don't 40, know. Yeah, a lot.
And of them, maybe one or two taste differently than the other 38. So
right.
I think that's what's more important is to really try and say, okay, well, how do I make this taste different? How do what can I do to accent XYZ of the cigar? And that's why so many cigars come and go. And so it's a combination of, for one, it being the same, and for two, lack of marketing. Right.
So let's talk about this. I want to talk about this one, which is catastrophic failure. And I want to talk about the San Andres because you just brought up San Andres and you just recently put out a San Andres.
I did.
Which, by the way, is absolutely killer. And I wouldn't just say that. I would just say, oh, you put out a San Andres. And it was not one of the 38. Let's say that. So it's very. So what these seem to have happened from my standpoint, very similar timelines. Like you were working on something and then there's a split in the project, or these were completely different blends from the beginning. Tell me the story on catastrophic failure. But I don't think this is in production. Catastrophic failure is not in production or is it, or will it be?
It's not in production currently, but well, I'll give you the whole story. So I went down to Nicaragua and I was working with Alex and Skip as far as the blend for the War Bear. We wanted to release a War
Right.
Bear in Perfecto. Alex didn't fully understand what I was saying, so he went ahead and just blended this cigar.
Oh,
It's a barber pole Sumatra. I would never ever gravitate towards Sumatra for whatever reason. I'm not a fan. I think that more often than
mhm.
not, it comes across kind of bitter, and to really make it work, it requires more. And I didn't know what more was, and I wasn't really willing to go down that rabbit hole at the time.
Right, right,
So I'm smoking this Gran Perfecto, and I think it's the War Bear. I'm like, damn, this is not the War Bear because it's the same blend every year. It's Ecuador and Habano, San Andreas.
right.
This is really good though. What is it? And I met up with Alex the next day, and he's like, this is what I did. I'm like, okay, well, it's a great cigar. Why don't we do this? Instead of it being a barber pole, we make it a double binder that helps mask a lot of that bitterness from the Sumatra, offsets it,
Hmm.
complements it with a little more complexity, and let's make it a box press. And boom, we have catastrophic failure. So um, it was a weird
So
cigar.
it was a failure. It wasn't at all what it was supposed to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the story behind catastrophic failure is kind of like my own little Easter egg thing. I like to have these little things that give it a soul. And I mean, I'll talk about it every once in a while, but not a whole hell of a lot, right? So,
Well, it's a good thing you brought it up here. Then that was smart.
yeah, so go figure it out. I don't know. I may have said it somewhere else. I'm not sure. I've explained it to John McTavish if you want to call him up. So, um, so the cigar comes out, and there was some pushback on it. It didn't sell fast right away. It sold decently, right? And as a retailer that supports other cigar retailers, what we do is
Right,
we won't release cigars to us immediately. We release to everybody else first. We give them time, even if, especially if they have like a website presence, we want to make sure that they capitalize on it.
right.
And then what we do is we release it in our store, and then we release it online if there's any left, right? So I get on the phone and I'm like, listen, I'm going to take the field here on this cigar, and you guys are going to regret it if you don't want to move on this. This is a good opportunity. And within, I would say, a week after that kind of statement, all of a sudden they're popping up all over social media. And everybody's like, damn, this is an amazing cigar. This is great. We need to get more of them. We need to get more of them. And then they sold out, you know, that week, 7 days later.
Right.
Um, so then it was constant demand of, are you going to make more of these? And so the question is, can the factory make more of these? Do they have the tobacco to facilitate that?
Hmm.
And the answer is yes. So it's like, okay, well then let's make it, we'll release it in a core line with 3 different sizes. So I'm excited about it. It's something that's totally different. It wasn't something that I was anticipating, but
Right.
you need fill a need, man. If people love it, then don't mess with it. So
Yeah, I mean, some stuff just ends up being a mistake. You're like, okay, didn't plan on this whatsoever. I mean, I see. It's funny. With Sumatra for me is hit or miss. Some of them I like, some of them I don't. I like box pressing Sumatras because I like the fact that it smooths out that wrapper just a little bit. But yeah, it's a great blend. So I'm happy to hear that. Talk about the San Andres that you just came out with. Another killer blend.
yeah, so we wanted to create something that would replace the broadleaf because broadleaf as of right now and for the past few years, we haven't had a lot of good access to high quality, whether it's crop,
Hmm.
oversold or whatever. I don't know how we got here, but the fact of the matter is there isn't good broadleaf. So you're seeing more often than not, you're seeing a story being spun of like, oh, we got this lower priming broadleaf.
Right.
Okay, whatever. But the consumer knows, the consumer can taste a significant difference in that Connecticut broadleaf from
Right.
the past to what it is now. So obviously Nika Sueño, Roma, those guys, they don't want to sell that story. They don't believe in that. They believe in being honest with their consumers. So Connecticut broadleaf is off the table. So I had to figure out what I wanted to do as far as like the next kind of blend.
Mhm.
So Skip brings me a cigar, and it was the Maestro. It wound up being the Maestranza. He's like, "Here, we should do this for Postani or whatever." And I smoked it, and I liked it, but it wasn't mine. You
Right.
know? So I kind of struggled with that. I'm like, look, if we're gonna do a whole core line release, if we did a one off, and you wanted to call it, hey, I made this blend for you, whatever, absolutely. But to replace an entire core line with something that
As your blend, as your cigar. Yeah.
like I at that moment I kind of had an issue. I struggled with that. I'm like, it tastes like Skip made the cigar. It doesn't taste like I made.
Right.
So of course that one winds up hitting #1 cigar of the year on Half Wheel, right? All right,
Yeah.
that's how that works out.
I think it was like number 2 or 3 for us, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, yeah. So I'm like, okay. It wasn't the Maestranza blend. It was the one off that he made.
Hmm.
That was the #1 cigar for Half Wheel. So the Maestranza is a little bit different. So I go down there and I start working with the San Andreas and start kind of creating a blend. And normally, there's a back and forth, and we remove specific things or whatever. And then normally when we reach a point where I think it's good or great, and Skip thinks that it's kind of sucks,
There you go.
I've made the cigar. Like, we're there. This is okay, perfect. Because now I know
Because you're outside of his profile now,
right,
but you like it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly the case. It's not Roma anymore. It's no longer
Right.
It's officially mine, right? Like, and it's not the first one, right? Like, because if you give him one and he's like, oh, this is great, and I think this is great, I have never seen that really happen. You always start talking about adding different components, removing specific things, and then you kind of walk down this path within a few days, right? And then eventually when you get to that aspect of, no, man, this isn't it. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like we've officially arrived. So yeah, it was created. We decided to kind of get away from the red and white band, like the Polish flag, and just kind of evolve with the brand as it's been going on for 10 years now, which is
Yeah.
sad for me to say, but I can't believe it's already been 10 years. My bank account doesn't feel like it's been 10 years. There's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. It's so hard. I mean, look, I've been there, and I ended up selling the company for just reasons of, man, I don't know if I want to do this for the next 20 years type thing. That facet of the industry. I love the industry, don't get me wrong. You bring up a very good point, though, when you predominantly deal with a single factory, and I worked with a couple different factories, but one of the hurdles that you have in that position, which you've been able to do, is that a lot of these factories have their own signature.
Mhm.
So I worked with AJ Fernandez a lot. I did 8 blends out of AJ Fernandez. I had 4 blends out of Black Label Trading Company. And so when I would go there, it's like it's hard to blend outside. We can take, you and I can, and a lot of people watching can taste a cigar and have a shot at, if you pay attention to factories. I always tell people, when you look at what cigars you like, pay attention to factories, not just brands, because some brands use different factories, and you may find it's a signature of that factory. Like Pepin's Tobacco is very much in that same signature. AJ has a lot. So the people that go into those factories and blend something different, that's unusual. You've done it with Skip. Dion did it with AJ on the Habano. I've seen, there's several people that have done it, but you have to go outside. You've got to do. I like the way you described that, though, because when it was no longer in Skip's wheelhouse, and you're like, okay, now I'm not in Skip's wheelhouse from the vet. And it doesn't make it a bad cigar.
Right.
Look, Skip's cigars are made for Skip and whoever happens to like his cigars. Your cigars are made for you. And there is a point, and I think it illustrates that you can't blend by committee. You can't. You can get input. You can go to Skip and go, hey man, what do you think about this, or what should I do by here, and so like that. But you can't ultimately leave it up to a group of people, because then you will dumb it down. It'll no longer be your vision, and now you'll make nobody will have it. The only way to have a successful cigar is to have other people also not like your cigar.
Right.
Honestly.
And one person has to have final say, right? Yeah. And that's usually what happens at the end of it. Skip's like, well, listen, it's your money, like
right.
It's your brand. If this is what you want to do, then go ahead, right? So, yeah, that's exactly how that works out. I'm fortunate enough to work with people that are honest and open enough where we can have a back.
Right.
I can argue with Skip. I can have a conversation with him and not agree with anything that he says or everything that he says.
Right.
At the end of the day, we're still friends. I'm not,
Right.
well, I disagree with his perspective, so he's an asshole. I'm like, no, he's actually the polar opposite of an asshole. He's one of the nicest, most giving
Right.
people
Right.
I've
Right.
ever met in my life. So
Yeah. And neither of you seem to have your own opinions. So
yeah, no,
that's
not
just,
at all.
no,
Very,
you know,
very non-opinion.
all right,
Yeah.
that's a good segue. Let's talk about your podcast, Cigar Hustler
Yes.
podcast. So you basically have, I'm going to say three hats, and correct me if I'm wrong. Oh, okay, four, Dad. But you have the shop, you have your brand, you have the podcast, and Cigar Hustlers podcast. Which, by the way, if you guys aren't listening to it, you need to go out and listen to it. It's actually very good. And I don't say that. I have a very short list of podcasts that I will actually tune into because there's a lot of good ones. The whole reason why I haven't started one, because I'm like, well, if you want this type of podcast, go listen to this guy. There's like three or four out there that are really, really good. Listen to them. I don't want to do that every week because I don't know what I would do after week 4. I'd be bored. And you keep it interesting. But what I love about yours in a lot of ways is that you shy away from controversy.
Oh,
So you more embrace controversy. And have there been moments when you're like, I probably pushed that too far, either the
uh,
boundaries of the brand or the person, or you're like, because you get caught up in the moment. I get it. I mean, I just did on comedy. I know you get on this roll, and then at some point you're like, okay, I probably shouldn't have said that. That may have been a little bit too
I think that there are times when I feel uncomfortable going down a specific rabbit hole. And normally when I feel that uncomfortableness, I know that I got to do it.
far.
That's
Okay,
really
that's good.
that's what it boils down to. I'm like, man,
Right,
this feels uncertain. This, gives me kind of butterflies or, maybe a little bit of anxiety or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that means I got to do it. That means I got
right,
to do it. So, I've had people get in my face about things. I've had people be uh, passive aggressive when they say things to me or whatever the case may be. I'm like, look, a lot of them, I'm thinking, you're not even in the arena. You're not even playing, you're not even in the game. So
hmm
like your opinion's already discounted as far as I'm concerned. And um for some of the other ones, I'm like, but if I did the things that you were doing, then I would be the same as you. And
hmm
what's the point of that? So, I like to talk about things. I like to have an opinion, and I don't care if someone disagrees or is upset about it, because I know where my heart is. I know
right,
I want everybody to do good. I want everybody to succeed, but I have no issues saying where I think someone's messing up, you know,
right, right, right,
and that works out really well. It gets you a lot of views, and people like listening to you when you're honest and there's no BS.
right,
People gravitate towards that. So
right.
it's been 7 years apparently. It's been 7 years of this podcast, and it has evolved over time. And we are constantly trying to make it better. We are constantly adjusting equipment, adjusting views, adjusting content, things to cover. It has never ever we've never stopped and said, okay, this is it. This is where this works perfect.
Right.
Um, yeah, and it probably is the thing that consumes the most time per week
hmm
as far as retail, wholesale, the one that pays
Right.
zero, the one that pays
Yeah,
absolutely
right.
is
No money,
is
no
the one
tangible tracking to this. Yeah.
the one that takes the most time. So, and I think that's
Is it your outlet? I mean, you got to do it because you're like, this is how I can just relax. I mean,
uh
because the other
no,
stuff's stressful. Jobs are stressful. Going out on the road is stressful.
yeah,
I mean,
the road is depressing. It's not even stressful. It sucks the soul out of you. The good parts about the road is when you finally get to a shop and you're around some good people. And you're like, okay,
right,
you know,
right,
that's the parts but the travel, and then like when you get bashed in the head walking into a retailer and you're like, okay, cool. I suck. Sweet.
right. Yeah. I don't think people realize, it's like, and you're at the point now, you walk in, you got an event that night, and everyone's like, oh man, I want your job. what they're seeing is the best part of your road existence. You're
Right.
walking into a planned event, you're dropping a new cigar or not. The people there are largely your fans because that's why they're there, or they want to meet you. What
Right.
they didn't see was during the day you visited 5 other shops that may or may not be happy with something, or even if they're happy, they're going to come up with something that they're not happy about just because that's
Right.
just what they have to do. They don't realize that a win on the road is when you get to stay in the same hotel 2 nights in a row because
Right.
you go back to the same hotel and you didn't have to be out of your suitcase. You go downstairs and it's like they've got a waffle maker. You're like, oh, okay, at least I got a fresh waffle this morning. I mean, it's
Get
just
in,
like,
baby.
yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't think people realize that how hard of a grind it is. And I think there's people, that I was going to ask you later that maybe now's a good time since we're kind of on this road part of it. And then I want to get back to the show, but, you know, people that want to come into this industry now, and, I mean, for me, I always say like, look, make sure you've got whatever partnership you have. And by partnership, I mean, you have a factory that's going to be able to get you consistently the tobacco you want. You can't just freelance this or one and done, because if you don't have that partnership locked up, you had it with Skip, I had it with AJ, so you're able to, know that that's not going to be a problem. Because the worst thing you could do is be completely freelance, get somebody to roll a cigar, and you can never get that tobacco again and have that cigar be good. But I also think it's like, you don't realize this isn't going to be like, you just put it out there and it magically becomes on all these lists and stuff like that. It's a lot of work.
Oh yeah, it's a ton of work, man. And for us, like the money just goes back into the product.
Yeah.
That's the even crazier part. It's like, okay, like you start by spending, $50,000 to $80,000 on your first batch, and then all of a sudden you're spending, 300, 400, 500,000, and then you realize that to really kind of be at a place where it's sustainable and successful, it's got to probably be about $3 or $4 million annual, kind of rotating in and out,
Right.
for it to sustain and it to be a successful business. So, yeah, and then to get beat on the head, and then like it's all abuse. It's all just
Yeah.
I don't know
I think
how to say it.
yeah. I mean, look, I mean, people. I remember when so I ended up with like 300 stores, but I remember when I got into 100 stores, I'm like, if I could just get to 100 stores. And I was in Washington with Matt Booth and Pete. And they're both saying like, here's the deal. Wherever you think that number is, it's going to be higher, because the ceiling always moves as far as your requirement. You think because sold this, and now if you sell double that, you can make double the money. Like, no, you're now expected at these events or advertise here or do these road trips or do whatever. And so I just, the idea of a moving target needle did not occur to me, that there was this ceiling that just keeps getting raised on you over and over again, to your point. So I honestly think, really now looking back at it, I mean, the cigar's like 15% of the work. Going down to Nicaragua, going to DR, wherever you're making a cigar. And I'm not saying it's not work, because you're down there, you're working it, but that's 15 to 20% of the work. I'm not dismissing what the factory does and anything like that. I'm just saying, having a cigar that it reaches the blend, because now the work starts. That's all fun. The blending's fun. Like, if we made money just off blending, hell, we'd be there all the time.
Right. Yeah, you're right. The other 80% is definitely a lot of the beating of the drum, checking in with retailers, creating a demand, all of those things. And what's really kind of comical is, even in my own experiences, I've seen a lot of people say, hey, I'll make a cigar. And I'm like, okay, and a lot of them will say, well, hey, why don't you handle the distribution for it? And I've accepted distribution from some of my friends. I want to see them succeed. But the reality is that if they don't put in the work, if you don't start creating the demand for your own product, then at the end of the day, it's going to fade out, and the only person who's going to be selling it is you,
Right.
That's a big challenge. And the shittier part is when you try and help somebody out and establish that through distribution, is that when it doesn't succeed, guess who they blame?
Right. It's your fault. Yeah.
It's a double-edged sword. It's your fault if it fails, and it's their success if it succeeds.
Right. Yeah. If you were out there selling the hell out of it, it'd still be them because they made a great cigar.
Yeah, because I'm great. It's like,
right. Let's go back to the show. So what does it look like you and Mike are sitting around going, okay, we got what day do you shoot the show?
Mondays.
Mondays. Okay. So what is it like going in that next week? You're done with Monday, it's I feel like it's like, Letterman, only it happens over a week period, like, oh, so what are you doing? Are you looking at news? Do you have some ideas in the bag? You're like, hey, maybe this is a good episode to talk about this. Do you hope that somebody posts some train wreck comment online and then you got, oh, this is a I imagine that's a lot of your text back to Mike for, oh my God, did you see what so-and-so just said? We are totally talking about this on Monday.
There's a combination of all of those things. As far as like social media, if something tracks that we notice the cigar industry, we will bring it up. We have like a little group meet where we talk about, hey, I want to talk about this. General trending topics, Palmer takes care of all that as far as what's going on. I honestly, we're at a point where it's more pure that way. He'll talk about three kind of general topic news things, and then he'll talk about general cigar news things. And now we have this guest the score thing that's really been a lot of fun at the tail end of
Right,
it.
right.
And I try my best to stay away from news. I try my best to make it I'm hearing about it for the first time.
It's unfiltered, it's unprocessed.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then at that point, you're just giving an opinion and you haven't researched, and normally somebody's going to bash you over the head. And the internet has its opinions, like, oh, you're an idiot for saying this, whatever the case may be.
Really? Really? Huh.
Yeah, it's so crazy.
Look, I think you are, look, you can be a disruptor in that you're not the average cigar show, which is great. Cause I think it's the whole reason why I haven't started one. It's like, what am I going to do unique and different that isn't already being done? Because if you're not bringing something unique and different, you don't need another cigar show. We really don't. So you can be a disruptor, but not disrespectful. I don't find you disrespectful. I think you're controversial on some stuff, and I think you have your opinions, but other people are going to have their opinions too. And it's like, short of getting both people on the show and debating it out, it's like, okay, and you both can be right because you both have different perspectives, you both have different things you're looking at. So I think you do a really good job of making it entertaining and talking about stuff. And I know some people get upset by it, and they may be legitimately upset just because they don't like that you have a different opinion. I get that. I mean, shoot, I want everybody to like me, and it's like, it's not going to happen. If everybody likes you, then you're not doing your job, particularly in what your role is at the show.
Right, 100%, man. And I love Coop. Coop gets mad at me sometimes. I still love Coop. But it is what it is. And then I have opinions on brands. I have opinions on manufacturers. We all know the stories. We've all heard the stories.
Right.
Of all the stuff that goes on, people not being paid or like scandals and all this other stuff. And you have to be careful if you bring some of those things up, because it's all kind of hearsay. So you can't
right.
not make an accusation. But if you think that somebody's doing a lot of things wrong, there's a good chance that they're not going to sell well, that people are going to figure it out and it's going to tank.
Right.
Or whatever the case may be. So I enjoy bringing some of that stuff to light. I have fun with it, and it's funny. It's funny when you get an outside source, a person who hasn't seen any of those or heard those experiences, and they have this one particular belief about whoever, and then you can say, okay, well, here are the things that I've heard. Now that you have all this information, I'm not telling you to love or hate the guy. I'm telling you to decide on your own. If you still love the guy, right? I personally would like to see that guy become better.
Right.
So that's why I have no problem saying any of it.
Yeah, you have a lot of conversations on your show that we all have when there's not cameras running.
Right.
I mean, like you and I will argue about something, or you and somebody else, or me and somebody else will argue about something. We're going to say it the way it is. You go farther out on there while the cameras are running. I'm like the next level down, where I'm going to say my opinion. I try not to say anything bad about anybody, and if it gets into a bashing thing, I'm like usually not on that. But I am more inclined, and I've seen it with you a little bit. It's not personal, it's business. So you may be a great person, not you, but just, you are, but, someone may be a great person, but man, this was a really bonehead business decision. Why, who cares that you have, and I could rattle off 10 million things or whatever like that, So if you can't take the heat of that, then maybe you agree with some of it if it's bothering you that much. So I like, it's fun. It's fun to listen to. like I said, you can be disruptive but not disrespectful. I don't find that you're necessarily disrespectful with people, and you're just shooting out a lot of the conversations that we actually have. Let's talk about your shop. I want everybody to know, because you do have a store. You have an extensive collection of cigars. So I want to talk about two sides of your shop. One is you're on the road a lot more than when you started the store. So
Mhm.
do you see things in different shops and you're doing events going, this is a good idea, I should be doing this on mine? Or did you create things in your shop because I'm like, this is stupid, I would never do this, and I just realized I'm doing it at my shop, so I need to change this?
It's twofold. I think for me, there have been some things that I've implemented into the store that I saw when I've been traveling. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Whether it's lighting,
Hmm.
maybe, but more often than not, it's the other way around. It's
Hmm.
"Hey, what are you doing? How is this working for you? Like, have you considered doing this? Um,
Right.
like
So
just
you're helping them out.
that's more important to me.
Right.
It's more important for me to see a retailer succeed and kind of excel. Like if they're talking about how many transactions they're doing a day, I'm like, okay, well, how do we double that number? Right? Like, well, what are you missing out? Like
Right.
whether it's Google reviews, whether it's email blast, whether it's contact with your consumer, whether it's some type of maybe the value of what your sale is. Maybe you're only doing $30 a transaction. Like, okay, how do we get it to 60? Not only how do we get it to 60, but how do we get the consumer to realize that they feel good about spending that 60? You know,
Right. Right.
so that's really, I would say, especially like the past 5 or 6 years of me traveling, maybe the first couple of me traveling, I would pick some things up along the way. But more often than not, now it's me more having conversations with retailers, at least the ones that consider uh, opinions, and try and
Hmm.
make them level up their game and do better.
So tell me if this is different, because you're at 10 years. I was 2012. My biggest thing when I walked out there and first started hitting a lot of retailers from a business perspective. I mean, if you traveled, you're on vacation, you went into one. But I mean, actually, that's when it was a business for me, and 10 years ago for you. Um, I was surprised of how many cigar shop owners were not business people. Like, they retired, I'm gonna have a cigar shop. It was a hobby. It's a
Right.
hobby. And they didn't, what's your best selling cigar? Oh, I don't know. I think it's this. Like, well, why do you have 20 facings of this? Because there was a deal. I mean, so uh, I do you feel that over time, especially with the younger crowd that's starting to get into shops, are they becoming more sophisticated business wise? I mean, or is it just attrition? Because the only way you're going to survive right now is if you know what the hell you're doing.
I think absolutely not. I think that you still see a lot of retailers that have no idea what they're doing. It's probably about 80% of them, and you're right. It's always been a retirement kind of hobby thing, or just a
Hmm.
whatever the case may be. There are that elite 20% that want to see it succeed, whether they need it financially or not, and they're willing to invest
Hmm.
time and energy and make it work. I try my best to align with that 20%. You try and find 10% in that 80% of the guys that just need that perspective to understand that, oh, oh, no, I should be doing this.
Right.
I think that exists as well. But I don't think that the evolution of it is going to change at any time. I think that that's forever to be a life as a whole, no matter what aspect of any industry that you're in. I think 80% of the people aren't really that good at it. 20% are awesome. You know,
Right.
I think that you are going to experience. You see it's been 10 years of wholesale. It's been 15 years of retail, and I've seen a lot of people come and go, as have you, right?
Right.
And
Right.
you always kind of wonder what happened, whether it was a brand owner or manufacturer. How did they and they never just crash and burn. It's
Right.
it's
Right.
like it's like every year is a little bit less, and then all of a sudden they've disappeared, right? Unless it's a retailer and they're going out of business and they're done, right?
Right.
So you always kind of look back and see what happened? Like where did it go wrong? Was it the cigar on the manufacturer?
Right.
Was it the marketing, which is usually the case, or was it failure to launch when it comes to the sales force, or the ability to continue to sell? As far as retailer, like how are you not taking care of your customer? Normally that's the case. If you're not listening to your consumer, I mean, that's how I got in the cigar industry to begin with. People came in asking for cigars. Okay, well then I'm
Right.
dumb to say, well, no, you need to buy, no, like that's what they're looking for.
Right.
You need fill a need. So, um, I think that that's the bigger issue, is that people don't like to listen. People just like to talk. People want to tell you
Right.
how things
Right.
are. Getting that out of somebody is more important.
That's good. How do you decide, because retailers are exposed to a lot of cigars, obviously. You're exposed to even more by way of travel, participation, the convention, other people that are making cigars. How do you curate your selection of cigars in your store? And I know what it takes to like even get a listen to your store because it's 10 visits.
Yeah,
I
I
know
was
that.
gonna say three, at least three.
Well, no, because I screwed up and like,
Yeah,
walked back you one time at PCA, zoned out.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but no, but that's not really the line. I mean, but so
yeah.
how do you decide? There's a lot of good cigars out there, and look, your shop is a great size shop. It's not. I wouldn't say it's a big humidor. It's not the smallest humidor, but it's not a big humidor. It's well stocked. There's like if you can't anybody wants a cigar, they're going to find a cigar that can smoke in your shop. So it's the size humidor that it needs to be to take care of anybody walking in the shop. But you can't pick up everything that's out there. You can't pick up five sizes of everything. You can't pick up. You have lines that you're like, I don't have room. How do
Right.
you decide what gets to live and die inside that humidor?
The answer to that is it depends. For one, as you know, getting into the humidor is already difficult, right? And
Sure.
if it doesn't track well in the store, then it's going to go instantly, right? You're going to say, okay, this didn't work. Generally speaking, what I look for, and this is kind of a model that I really believe in wholeheartedly, is that we all got to pull together in the same direction, right? Now, I don't know what that looks like for every individual or for every single case by case basis, but I need to know that you have that mindset of like,
Mhm.
hey, I'm going to pull with you, right?
Mhm.
Uh, when it comes to our brand, like I could sell it. I could sell it in our store first. I could sell it online first and then send it to everybody else. That's not me pulling with anybody, right?
Right.
I want to pull with every retailer. I want to make sure that I'm doing my part, providing a good product and giving them the opportunity to sell it, right? And sell it well. Um, I can argue that kind of basis on any level. If you're a retailer and you're a discounter and you have our product, well, you're not pulling with me.
Right. Right.
It's over, you know? Well, why aren't you sending me more product? Because you discounted my stuff. Well, I won't do it again. I'm like, I know you won't do it again because I'm not sending it to you anymore. You know, you're not pulling with me. It's just so when a brand comes in, like there have been plenty of guys. I mean, I'll give you an example. I love this guy. Frank's his name's Ponce Cigars. He makes a really good cigar. It's very unique. It's very different. And he'll come in and he started putting in the work. Uh, there was a time where, I look back and I'm out of stock on a lot of things. And I'm like, I pick up the phone and I say, hey, I need this, 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 this. He comes right in. I said, hey, listen, here's what I need you to do. I need you to pull with me. Let me know what's going on. Help me keep a pulse on this
Right.
so that we can work together, right? Because I obviously missed this. And because I missed this, we miss turns. Like if you pick up where I miss and I pick up where you miss, we'll both make more money.
Right. Right.
So that's what I look for. I look for the pull. We got to pull in the same direction. And that's how I feel about employees. That's how I feel about, friends. That's how I feel about all of it.
Right.
Um, if we're sitting down to dinner and the check comes up and all of a sudden nobody can find their wallet but me, guess what? This is the last dinner we're going to have, you know, because I don't want to be around that guy. I don't
Right.
want to be
Right.
around those people.
Right.
You're not pulling with me. I'm not expecting you to pick up the tab.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm expecting you to have the same mentality that I have. And we're
Right.
sitting down, we're enjoying ourselves. Somebody's gonna cover it, whether it's me, with you, whatever,
Right.
But you can
I
tell, like you
Yeah,
can
yeah, yeah,
tell,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like, oh,
Well, and look, I had a friend that for years we'd go out and one of us would pick up the tab. Just I got it this time, I got it. And it was never tracked. It was never whatever. And I guarantee you, after hundreds of meals, it's probably pretty equal because we're
right,
the same mentality. And I like that you use the term pull because look, the whole word partnership has been so abused. They're like, oh, we want retail partners and stuff like that. And we use that term because people understand it. But the reality is that either you have a manufacturer that sends the cigars and doesn't do anything, just waiting for the reorder, or expects the reorder and doesn't get it, or you have a retailer that goes, "How are you going to help me sell your cigars?"
Right.
Well, I will. My part of it is I'm going to train you. I'm going to train your staff. I'm going to give them the story. I'm going to come in and do an event or whatever, however I can help you. You're in enough stores now where you can't do events in every store, so you have to find ways that you can help them that are not an in-person thing. Um, and that's the true partnership. But everybody talks about that, but it's very different when it gets executed, because then it's down to the 20% again. We're down to the 20% of retailers that understand that, look, the more I sell, the more you make, and that's the environment. And it's interesting you have that screening process because it makes sense.
Right. Thank
And
you.
it's not necessarily the biggest store. And when I started out, I'm like, oh, if I could just get into the big stores. Like, no, I don't want the big store. I want the medium and small stores that are behind my brand that are selling it, because they will flip more than the guy that walks into a big store. And we all know some big stores in our area and other areas. And you walk in, and the worst you could be is where your brand in a giant humidor that just gets lost. And that's no fault of your brand. That's just the fact that there are 7 million facings in here. And what are the odds he's going to get down your aisle and see that cigar before he's already filled up his basket and ready to go? Versus the other stores where they're grinding, because they can't have 7 million facings. They don't have the space. They're going to get behind the brand. I like that. I like the pull term. That's good.
Thank you. And well, not only that, but like a lot of big retailers, they're not necessarily concerned about helping a brand build up. They consider themselves established, and they're a big name in the industry. So what are they going to sell? They're going to sell the most expensive cigar possible to whatever you're going to buy.
Right.
So what is this guy going to pay? Is this guy willing to pay 50? Is he willing to pay 100? Is he only 20? Is he at 10? Like,
right.
That can be the mentality for some retailers. And if that's the case, then I think that you're doing a disservice, which really kind of puts us back at the beginning of the conversation.
Right.
Paying for first class when you're sitting in coach.
Right.
Tell
me something exciting. Has been an exciting thing you've done lately that is not cigar related. Something you're like, this was fun. This is cool.
Something that's exciting for me that's not cigar related. It's something I will tell you exactly what it is. And it's going to sound dumb, but I went to dinner with my kids, and we go out to dinner every once in a while, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks. But we went out to dinner last Saturday, and we were at Cowfish at City Walk, and we were just having a good time, man. Like, I'm a big believer in no tech, like no tech, there's no tech at the table.
Yeah.
And there's no tech for the kids unless they read. You got to read minimum 20 minutes before you touch that thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I got one kid's bouncing off me. Justice he's going, check this out, it's a magic trick. He would cover my face with a napkin, and then he'd pull it off and he'd disappear. But like, he wouldn't be anywhere. He'd be like under the table or something like that. That's those things for me are exciting. I have a good time with it, where my wife is just kind of relaxing and we're having good conversation. That's really kind of exciting to me. That and coaching them. I love coaching them and seeing them push themselves, for sure.
That's cool. Is there anybody you would want to do a collab with that you're just like, wow, it'd be really cool to do a collab with this person and put out a cigar of some sort?
Fred Rouet. Have you heard of Fred?
Yeah,
Rouet?
nice try. Nice try.
You know what, man? Honestly, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
There isn't. I made some cool cigars with Matt Booth in the past. I made some cool cigars with Espinosa in the past. Those were fun. And I enjoyed them. But the reality is that, I love everything Nika Sueño. I love working with those guys, and there isn't somebody that'd be like, man, I want to do this,
Right. That's fair.
I think that's fair, right? Dion's cool.
Yeah.
Cool,
Yeah.
But I'm not like, we got to do this,
I feel that your portfolio measurably took longer to grow and be diverse than some boutiques. Some boutiques run out there and they shotgun out, 4 or 5 different blends, and they've got it. And I feel like your boutique grew slower but is more substantial in its offerings now. Like they're solid behind them, and that process took a little bit longer than some boutiques do. And it's not right or wrong, except that it's right from the standpoint is that they were all quality. How do you decide now? Because now, in the beginning, I imagine for the first several years, probably until maybe a couple of years ago, you're blending to fill a gap in your portfolio. You're just going, man, I have this big gap in the portfolio that I need to do the cigar. How do you decide now? Do you feel that there's still big gaps, or do you feel that like, okay, now how do you decide now what to work on? Because your mentality changes, I imagine, a little bit in the thought process. Okay, I'm going down. What do I want to work on?
Yeah, I mean, I think realistically, everything's kind of been happy little accidents as kind of time has happened. When we originally created the cigar, we didn't intend on really selling it to anybody else, right? And we only plan on making one. We only plan on making the Habano or the broadleaf. And
Mm-hmm.
then we released the Habano. Then people wanted the broadleaf, so then we released the broadleaf. And things are just kind of progressed naturally over time. Why are you
Then you
laughing?
wake up, then you kind of, because I remember that I did one cigar and I'm like, like, oh fuck, now it's a business. Now I got to actually think about this shit.
Yeah. So like the Connecticut for me was something I blended 10 years ago. I
Mm-hmm.
blended it for the birth of my son. I didn't think that was going to be a cigar, but you know what? I missed it. I
Mm-hmm.
was like, man, that was such a damn good cigar. I would like more
Mm-hmm.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what happened, and then San Andreas happened because broadleaf wasn't happening anymore, right? So boom, San Andreas. And then the future of catastrophic failure happened, not because I blended it, because I didn't go in with intentions of making a cigar,
Right, right.
so like I'll go down there and I wouldn't mind like playing with things and making things like one-offs or like some smaller runs because that's fun. I enjoy,
Right.
you know. But I really want to see the things that I've kind of created sustain and
Mm-hmm.
kind of become that legacy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the goal. I mean, I got a core line coming out that I wasn't thinking of making. So
Right, right. One last question, and then we'll turn off the video and talk the real stuff that nobody gets to hear. Someone's new to your brand. Either they're new to the brand or they are revisiting the brand because they didn't realize, it's been around as much and the portfolio has grown. What would you recommend for them getting started? Do you have a size that you like? Do you have a blend that, obviously, do you like mild, medium, full type thing? But is there something that you just kind of, this is kind of like a go-to that I think that, one of these cigars or where to start out, or this size is something to start out with your brand?
I think it generally just depends on the consumer. If the person doesn't smoke a lot, I first of all, I want them to have an experience that they haven't never had, right? I want them to smoke a cigar like, damn, what the hell is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they're a cigar consumer that doesn't smoke a lot, I'm going to instantly go to Connecticut, right? Because it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't taste like your average Connecticut. So,
Right.
the two major sizes that I smoke out of that are the Toro or the Corona Gorda. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if they're a little more cigar geeky, I'd probably do the Corona Gorda, but generally the Toro. Um, Now, if they're a guy that smokes on the regular, when I say regular, I guess your regular is probably 3 or 4 a week, maybe.
Right. Right.
I would go San Andreas, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because in the same scenario, in the same aspect, it doesn't taste like anything else. It doesn't taste like
Right. Right. Right.
San Andreas is so overbearing and so one dimensional that normally when you smoke it, you're like, yeah, there it is, another San Andreas. So, those two to me stand out the most as far as kind of
Mm-hmm.
blow your mind. Habano for me was the original, right? It's just
Right.
the original creation. It's a cigar I love, especially in the Corona Gorda format. But when it comes to educating a consumer and really kind of getting them hooked on Postania, those are going to be my two go-tos for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will say, when I remember when I was in your shop and you handed me the San Andres, I'm like, oh, good, another San Andres, and I'm like, and then I smoked it. I'm like, well, I was actually there for another event. And then we smoked that first. And I mean, yeah, if you think you get in this, if you're a cigar smoker smokes a lot, you think oh, Connecticut's all have to fall in this wheelhouse, and San Andreas all has to fall in this wheelhouse, and this has that, but it's got something else that you're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I mean, when I was at the show, and I know the San Andreas kind of led into the show, but for me, I'm like, okay, there are 5 cigars that got my attention at the show. That was one of them. I'm like, okay, this is different. So yeah, if you're tell everybody where to find you, where your podcast, your site, your shop.
Yeah, you can find me. Our retail store is cigarhustler.com. Come into the shop, Cigar Hustler in Deltona, Florida. As far as Cigar Hustlers podcast, you can find us on Cigar Hustlers podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, Apple, all those things. But if you really want to help us, watch the YouTube. We need the views. That's the one that we always struggle on. So I think that's pretty much covers where to follow us, find us for sure.
All right. Well, hey man, thanks, Mike. I'm going to turn off the recording here. Thanks everybody for listening in, and we'll talk to you next time.